Sarupalli Radhakrishnan was born into a middle class Telugu family at Tirutani in Tamil Nadu state, a town in Madras Presidency, British India, 64 km to the northwest of present Chennai. His early years were spent in Tirutani and Tirupati. His father was a subordinate revenue official in the service of a local landlord. His primary education was at Primary Board High School at Tirutani. In 1896, he was shifted to the Hermannsburg Evangelical Lutheran Mission School at Tirupati. He joined the Woores College in Vellore but switched to the Madras Christian College at the age of 17. He graduated with a master's degree in philosophy from the Madras Christian College in 1906. Radhakrishnan wrote his thesis for the MA degree on the ethics of the Vedanta and its metaphysical presuppositions. This got published as a book when he was only 20. Radhakrishnan was not a follower of any one system of thought but open to various viewpoints presented by different philosophers. Among all the viewpoints, of course, he was more at home with the metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics of Advaita Vedanta, which became his line of thinking. Metaphysics. Following Sankara, Radhakrishnan was of the opinion that reality is Brahma, that is one, spiritual, transcendent, and absolute. He called it he called it spiritual because it is not material. He called it transcendental because world cannot exhaust it. And it is absolute because it is one pure consciousness, pure freedom with infinite possibility. Brahm is indiscernible and manifests itself as God who is the creator of the world. According to him, there are two worlds, the material world that science studies, and the spiritual world that the spiritually inclined perceive. He calls it transcendence or infinite aspect of soul. Upanishads speak of it as Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, everything permeated by Brahma, or the spirit which cannot be perceived in any other way. This spirit comes to its fullest expression in human who has a unique position. According to him, human is a peculiar combination of egoism and self transcendence, of selfishness and universal love. This is due to finite and infinite aspects in human. Thus, human has a special role in creation. Human is a being capable of self transcendence, self reflection, and planning. Since human is embodied spirit, finite, infinite with body and soul, one cannot attain one's ultimate destiny directly. Therefore, the first aspect of one's destiny would be freedom from embodied existence. But although that may make one free, that will not put an end to creation. And so long as the cosmic process does not come to an end, complete unity will not be established. Therefore, the final aspect of one's destiny must be the realization of unity at the end of the cosmic process. One cannot be free from cosmic process till all others are saved. The world process will reach its final goal when every individual will realize divinity. Radhakrishnan calls it Sarvamukti. Once this is realized, the purpose of creation is fulfilled and everything will go back to Brahma. Radhakrishnan accepts three sources of knowledge: sense experience, intellectual cognition, that is, discursive reasoning, and intuitive apprehension. Sense experience acquaints us with the outer characteristics of the external world. We come to know the sensible qualities of the objects. The data yielded by sense experience constitute the subject matter of natural science. Discursive reason, or what Radhakrishnan calls logical knowledge, depends on analysis and synthesis of the data of perception. He calls logical knowledge indirect and symbolic. We are able to handle and control the objects of nature with such knowledge. Logical knowledge and sense experience are the means by which we are capable of practical purposes and control over our environment. Though he accepts the two means of knowledge, they fail to reveal the original integrity of the perceived object. Intellectual symbols cannot represent perceived realities as what they are. Moreover, the entire life of a feeling and emotion, the delights and pains of the flesh, the agonies and raptures of the soul, remain out of from thought. He thinks of a higher mode of apprehension where thought, feeling, and volition are blended into a whole, where there is no duality, the distinction between the knowledge of a thing and its being. It is a type of knowing by becoming. Radhakrishnan calls it intuitive apprehension. In the intuitive apprehension, the knower establishes an identity with the known. This can be made clear by taking the example of anger. No intellectual deliberation can give us any idea of the emotion of anger. We can know it only by being angry. Thus we say intuition establishes a unity, almost an identity between the knower and the known. The object known is seen not as an object outside the self, but as a part of the self. When he speaks of the intuition, he uses the word integral insight. This does not mean that he makes a compartmentalization in the knowing faculty of human. Rather, he says human's awareness is broadly speaking of three kinds: the perceptual, the logical, and the intuitive. Manas or the sense mind, Vigyan or logical, and Ananda, which for our present purposes may be defined as spiritual intuition. All three belong to the human consciousness. But Radhakrishnan uses the term integral experience to refer to intuition. He emphasizes three things. First, intuition is integral in the sense that it coordinates and synthesizes all other experiences. It integrates all other experiences into a more unified whole. Second, intuition is integral as it forms the basis of all other experiences. In other words, Radhakrishnan holds that all experiences are at bottom intuitional. Third, intuition is integral in the sense that the results of the experience are integrated into the life of the individual. For Radhakrishnan, intuition finds expression in the world of action and social relations. Intuition is the ultimate form of experience for Radhakrishnan. It is ultimate in the sense that intuition constitutes the fullest and therefore the most authentic realization of the real Brahma. The ultimacy of intuition is also accounted for by Radhakrishnan in that it is the ground of all other forms of experience. Finally, intuition, according to Radhakrishnan, is ineffable. It escapes the limits of language and logic, and there is no conception by which we can define it. In such experiences, thought and reality come together and a creative merging of subject and object results. While the experience itself transcends expression, it also provokes it. The provocation of expression is for Radhakrishnan testimony to the creative impulse of intuition. All creativity and indeed all progress in the various spheres of life is the inevitable result of intuition. Religion and ethics. Radhakrishnan's ethical teaching must be understood from the background of his religious faith and metaphysics. Every philosophy and religion begins with an intuition. When the need of explaining intuition to others, need of language comes up. When we are born in a tradition, the basic content of intuition comes to us as a condition of sensibility in which we are born, brought up, and have our being. In this sense, Radhakrishnan never lost faith in a spiritual power beyond the experiential flux of phenomena. From his study of Indian culture, he got two more basic principles, namely universality of outlook and democracy in view of life. This university of outlook refers to his faith in the basic oneness of humanity, as all are identical with Brahma or sharing the same qualities of God from whom all came or perceived. The common quest, democracy in view of life, refers to the tolerance of different points of view, different ways of looking at, and different ways of living, etc. When we speak of religion as Radhakrishnan understands it, we must make a distinction between religion and religions. Religion for him is personal intuitive experience. It is an insight into the nature of reality, darshan, an experience of reality, anubhav. It is an inward and personal experience which unifies all values and organizes all experiences. It is a reaction to the whole of reality by the whole human. In his book, Idealistic View of Life, he calls it spiritual life, the culmination of intellectual, moral, and aesthetic activity, or a combination of them. Different religions, according to him, are different explanations of this experience. In the course of time, in its effort to explain the intuitive experience, there came up external structures in the form of rites, ceremonies, institutions, programs, etc. According to him, when the central fact touches a devotee, an experience within of abounding vitality or inner life which transcends consciousness is the result. When overwhelmed by this, a new humility is born in the soul, cleanses it of pride, prejudice, privilege, thoughts, and creates a feeling of tenderness and compassion for one's fellow humans. According to him, when such humans abound in society, a difference in the life of the society is the result. According to him, the need of the time is to go from religions to religion, and for that, two things are to be emphasized: inner experience and ethics. Religion also means spirituality, which is impossible without ethics, which is the sum total of values and virtues that makes social life smooth and good. Thus, he says, after all, what counts is not creed but conduct. By their fruits ye shall know them, and not by their beliefs. Religion is not correct belief but righteous living. Religion is universal to the human race. Wherever justice and charity have force of law and ordinance, there is God's kingdom. There is religion. The truly religious never worry about other people's beliefs. Look at the great sayings of Jesus. Other sheep I have which are not of this fold. Jesus Jesus' ethics is universal. He says, do unto others what you like them to do to you. When we have such an ethical stand, we are creators of God's kingdom or religion. While speaking about Hindu ethics, Radhakrishnan explains the Purusharthas, the four supreme ends of human craving. He writes ancient rishis of India were not only spiritual masters, they were also psychologists who looked at the motives behind our actions, and they realized that desires or cravings are the very center of our life. Each of these cravings strives for satisfaction. Basically, there are four: parental instincts and sexual instincts, kama; desire for power and wealth, artha; desire for social harmony and common good, dharma; and union with the unseen, moksha. These desires are not distinct and independent, but always try to win upper hand and win over the other. The greatness of the person consists in making a cooperation of the four and bringing an overarching unity of life. For each one is a whole in oneself. The meaning of the word dharma is really complex. The whole of ethics could be reduced to this concept. Etymologically, it comes from dhra, means to hold. Dharma is that which holds. It is classified differently, first as Vyakti Dharma or individual duty, and Sadharan Dharma or ordinary duty. When Dharma is applied to social life, it becomes a Vyakti Dharma, and on the basis of it, again, we have Varna Dharma and Ashram Dharma. There are four Varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, and that is based on nature and capability, and each one has to perfect one's nature. Then sorry, ashram dharma based on four ashramas: brahmacharya for student, grahastha for family people, and then when one grows in age, vanaprastha and sannyasa. Then sadharan dharma is obligatory on everyone, irrespective of caste, creed, and status. This consists of practicing charity, peace, benevolence, fortitude, etc. According to Radhakrishnan, freedom is one of the foundations of ethics. Freedom can be understood in three levels. Psychologically, it is freedom to act this way or that way. Moral freedom is freedom to choose between alternatives with knowledge and volition. But here, knowledge may not be perfect, so error, evil, or ignorance may occur. This is what we see around us. Human made enormous progress in knowledge and scientific inventions. But along with that, corresponding moral and spiritual progress has not happened, rather declined in standard. Our natures are becoming mechanized, void within. We are reduced to atoms in a community, members of a mob. Science and experiments of communism and capitalism brought possibilities of material well-being that has ability to wipe out poverty and illiteracy, but actually they are not going away due to lack of fellowship and cooperation, due to mutual conflict, lack of confidence and exploitation. All these come up from baser passions of human nature: its selfishness and hatred, its insolence and fanaticism. Thus we must go beyond psychological and moral freedom into spiritual freedom that leads to integral liberation, liberation of the whole human, not like economic or political liberation. For the cultivation of a complete human being, we require the cultivation of inward peace, the grace of joy, the grace and joy of souls overflowing in love. For this all round growth needs physical efficiency, intellectual alertness, and spiritual awakening. Education. The universities are the means to a new world, and higher education is an instrument in solving problems. The object of education is to bring forth the ethical human, the human in whom all the capacities are fully developed. Being truly educated means having the light to see the truth and the strength to make it prevail. Social and political philosophy. The cornerstone of Radhakrishnan's social philosophy is the axiom that all human beings are of equal worth, entitled to the same fundamental rights. The human individual is the most concrete embodiment of the spirit on earth, and anything that damages one's dignity is morally wrong. The state that governs least is the best. Democratic government is the most satisfactory since it rests on the consent of the governed. Economics. Social justice is possible with economic justice. In capitalism, there is unequal concentration of economic power. He also opposed communism and fascism. Radhakrishnan advocated an internal state in which the differences need not be fused, but they need not conflict.